Hey there, and welcome back to the deep dive. Got something kind of interesting to pull apart today.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, something that might have been subtly affecting how you use your Android phone, maybe without you even realizing it.
Okay, intrigued. It's one of those, like, background quirks you might have seen and just thought, that's weird, and, moved on.
Exactly. But when you look closer, it raises some, well, pretty fascinating questions.
Right.
So, we're diving into this strange bit of behavior spotted recently in the Google Play Store. This was right around June 15th of 2025.
Yeah.
Our mission, figure out what was happening with these app updates, which apps were involved, and what this little anomaly might actually tell us about, you know, the giant platforms we rely on every day.
Right. It's like peeling back a layer on how the really core software gets managed, isn't it? It wasn't just some visual glitch. It felt like maybe a change in the actual process you see for keeping things up to date.
Yeah, precisely. Let's dive in. So picture this. You go to the Google Play Store on your Android device, right? You head over to that spot where you usually check for app updates.
Yeah, the Manage Apps and Device area,
Hmm.
or Pending Downloads, as it used to be called, maybe.
Exactly. It's like muscle memory for keeping your phone running well.
Right, that main list.
Yeah.
That's where you expect to see everything that needs updating, system apps, regular apps, the lot.
But around June 15th, people started noticing something peculiar. Certain apps, specifically those system-level ones, and even some core Google apps,
Uh-huh.
they just weren't showing up in that main list anymore, even if they did actually have updates ready to go.
Hmm. So it's like looking in your, I don't know, your email inbox, but
Yeah.
the important stuff, the bills or whatever, they're just invisible in the main view.
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it. You know the mail arrives, but it wasn't getting sorted into your action-needed box, so to speak.
Okay, yeah, that is weird. It definitely changed from how it's supposed to work. Yeah, check that list assuming it's the whole story.
And suddenly, key parts of your phone's own software updates are kind of hiding.
Right. It disrupts that central view, that confidence you have, that you're seeing everything that needs attention.
Okay, so this update vanishing act, it affected specific kinds of apps, right? It wasn't just random stuff.
No, definitely not random. The observations pointed pretty clearly towards system-level components and also some core pre-installed Google apps.
The behind-the-scenes stuff.
Yeah, the things that keep your phone ticking over, or the features Google builds right into the Android experience itself.
Can you give us some concrete examples? What kind of apps are we talking about here?
Sure, so it includes some really vital sort of background components, things like Android Switch, Android System Intelligence, foundational pieces.
Stuff you don't normally interact with directly, but it's working away back there. What else?
Also connectivity things like Google Wi-Fi Provisioner and Google Partner Setup, and system services like settings services.
Okay, so a fair few of those, like critical but maybe less visible system parts.
Yeah.
You said not just those, right?
Correct. It wasn't only the deep system layers. Some apps people use, like every day, were also on this list. Things like Pixel Camera, Pixel Weather,
Okay.
YouTube Music, and even the main YouTube app itself. They were also seen not showing up in that main pending downloads list when they had updates waiting.
That's interesting. So it spanned from the really core stuff right up to apps millions of people open daily.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe one of the most sort of critical examples noted was the data restore tool.
Whoa, hang on. The data restore tool, that's super important. That's the thing you need when you get a new phone, right? To copy everything over.
Precisely. Whether you're using a cable or pulling from a cloud backup, that tool is key for getting your data onto a new device.
Wow.
And the source material really highlighted how crucial that is. I mean, if that tool isn't updating properly, or more to the point here, if you don't realize an update is available because it's not in the main list.
You could run into major headaches setting up your brand new phone.
Right.
Right out of the box.
Exactly. That really underscores why this isn't just some minor visual thing on an app you never use. These were updates for tools fundamental to basic phone operations, and their visibility just vanished from the usual spot.
Right. The common thread was they just weren't in that aggregated list anymore.
Correct. Absent from that main queue.
So, okay, they weren't showing up where you'd look first. That sounds kind of broken. Were the updates themselves gone? Or could you still get them somehow?
See, this is where it gets interesting. The updates weren't actually missing. They weren't broken. They were still there, available, functional.
Okay.
They just weren't being shown in that one specific central list in the Play Store.
Right. So if they weren't in the main queue, how did people actually find them? Was there some, like, secret menu?
Huh? No secret handshake required, thankfully. Users figured out they could still get the updates, they just had to manually go looking for the specific app.
Ah, got it. So you couldn't rely on the main list. You had to like search for YouTube in the Play Store, tap on its icon, go to its actual app page.
Exactly. And then on that dedicated page, you'd see the normal update button sitting there, ready to go.
Okay, that workaround is pretty revealing then.
It really is. Because it strongly suggests the problem wasn't, with the update files themselves or the app's ability to actually install the update.
Right.
The issue seemed to be specifically with the visibility, the aggregation part. In that main Play Store interface, it felt like a display problem or a listing problem.
Like those hidden files on your computer, maybe the system knows they're there, but your main window isn't showing them unless you tell it to.
That's a decent analogy, yeah. And apparently, for at least one of those apps, Google Partner Setup, even though those updates were hidden from the list, there weren't reports of it actually causing problems or malfunctioning.
Which again points to it being about the display in that list, not the app or the update itself.
Exactly. Further supporting that idea.
Okay, this brings us to the juicy part, the why does this matter question. Why is it a big deal if these updates were just hiding a bit? More than just annoying.
Oh, it's significant, mainly because of which apps were affected. Like we said, it wasn't just some random game.
Right.
We're talking critical system tools,
Mm-hmm.
stuff needed for basic phone functions.
Mm-hmm.
We mentioned the data restore tool.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine buying a new phone, being all excited, trying to move your stuff over,
Yeah.
and you hit snags because that tool didn't get its latest update, and you had no idea an update was even available because it wasn't in the place you always look. That's hugely frustrating.
Totally. And beyond setup, things like Android system intelligence, settings services, those connectivity apps, those are the gears making things work smoothly, securely.
Exactly. If updates for those get missed or delayed because people don't see them, well, that could impact performance. It could introduce bugs. It might even leave security holes open longer than they should be.
It just creates confusion, right? People trust that main update list. It's supposed to be the single source of truth.
Precisely. If that list is incomplete, you might think your phone's totally up to date when actually these crucial bits are lagging behind without you even knowing.
It messes with that smooth, reliable update process we expect. And you need that transparency for device health, for security. Any friction there, especially for core stuff, isn't great.
No, it undermines your ability to easily keep your device running at its best.
Okay, so we know what happened, the hiding updates. We know who it affected, those system and core Google apps. And we know why it's a big deal. Now, the million-dollar question. What caused it? Was this an accident, a bug, or something else?
Yeah, this is where the speculation really kicked in back in mid-June. Because crucially, at the time people were noticing this, Google hadn't said anything official, no explanation.
So the reason was just kind of hanging there.
Exactly. Squarely up in the air, which naturally led to a couple of main theories.
Okay, what were the leading hypotheses?
Well, the first one, maybe the simplest, is that it was just a good old-fashioned software bug.
Happens all the time.
Right. Could have been an unintended side effect from some other platform update, maybe a change on Google servers. Android and the Play Store are incredibly complex systems.
Yeah, billions of devices.
Exactly. So sometimes you fix one thing and accidentally break something else. Maybe the logic for showing updates for these specific app types just got, temporarily messed up.
Definitely plausible. Software development is messy. Bugs happen.
Absolutely. But there was another hypothesis, one that maybe hints at Google's future plans.
Ooh, okay.
The idea that this wasn't a bug, that it was actually a deliberate change by Google.
Intentional. Why would they choose to make important updates harder to find in the main list? That seems counterintuitive.
Well, the thinking goes, it could be a signal, a move towards what some called a quieter background update model for more of these core system bits.
Quieter background updates, like Google Play services.
Exactly like Google Play services. Think about it. That's probably the single most critical piece of Android software, right? And it updates constantly.
Yeah, all the time.
But you almost never see it pop-ups in your main pending downloads list, asking you to tap update. It just handles itself. Silently. In the background. Seamlessly.
Okay, I see where you're going. So the theory is maybe Google wants to treat other essential system things like system intelligence or maybe even the data restore tool more like Play services.
Potentially, yeah. Less reliance on you, the user, checking a list and hitting update. more towards just making sure it happens automatically in the background.
So this change in visibility in the list could have been like the first step or maybe an early symptom of that shift.
And that's the idea. The logic might be these components are essential, updates are frequent, maybe involving the user manually just adds friction. Let's just update them automatically and keep the system humming.
Which makes sense from a system health perspective, maybe. Ensures things get updated promptly for security and stability.
Right.
But for users, it means less direct awareness, doesn't it? You're less likely to know what got updated or when, at least not from that one familiar screen.
Precisely that trade-off. It's user control and awareness versus maybe system maintenance efficiency and security. Shifting more things to a silent background model could make the ecosystem more robust.
But it reduces your ability to easily track it or even know an update for, say, the data restore tool was available unless you went digging for it.
Exactly. And the key thing, again, was that around June 15th, Google hadn't clarified. Was it a bug they were fixing? Or was it step one of a new strategy they hadn't announced yet?
Right. That silence left everyone just guessing.
Yeah, leaving that big question mark hanging right over it.
So let's bring this back to you, listening right now. Have you noticed anything like this? Anything unusual with your app updates recently on your Android phone?
Yeah, did the list maybe seem a bit shorter than normal around mid-June? Or perhaps you stumbled onto an apps page directly and found an update waiting that wasn't in the main list.
It's definitely worth maybe just taking a quick look now. Check your Play Store update section. Maybe even manually search for a couple of those apps we mentioned, like Android System Intelligence or Data Restore Tool. See if anything's there.
Because understanding these kinds of subtle shifts, whether they turn out to be bugs or actual intended changes, it's really important for staying informed about the tech you use constantly.
Yeah, your phone's this complex thing, right? And knowing how updates are managed, even for those hidden bits, gives you a much clearer picture of what's actually happening under the hood.
And these seemingly small details can ripple out. They can affect performance, stability, even your experience setting up a new device.
Okay, so just to quickly recap what we've chewed over, around June 15th, 2025, updates for system-level apps and some key Google ones stopped showing up in the main Play Store update list.
Right, but the updates weren't gone. You could still find them by going directly to the app's own page in the store. This was a workaround.
And this mattered because it hit tools crucial for basic phone functions, like the Data Restore tool, causing potential confusion and making the update process less transparent than we expect.
And the big mystery left hanging was temporary bug or deliberate first step towards a different, maybe quieter background update approach for these core components.
Yeah, without an official word from Google at the time, the tech community was left wondering what was really going on.
Which really leaves us with a final thought for you, the listener, to maybe mull over. What does this specific incident, this anomaly, tell us about the future? How might software updates on huge platforms like Android evolve?
Is this kind of thing just a glitch in the matrix, or could it be a sign of a shift? A move away from you actively managing every little update towards more stuff just happening automatically, perhaps less visibly, something to definitely keep an eye on.
Absolutely. How platforms manage these core updates is always evolving.
Well, thanks for diving deep with us into this little Play Store puzzle today.
Yeah, always good to unpack these things.
We'll catch you next time for another deep dive into the information shaping our tech world.
Stay curious, everyone.